America, it's time for your political maniacs. They are who we thought they were. Well, America, it looks like we have another bad actor in the news this week. This time it's Pepsi-Cola. Pepsi-Cola has announced layoffs for workers throughout their operations. Similar to what we saw with Walmart, Pepsi will cut jobs while giving other employees a one-time bonus of $1,000, citing the Trump tax cut as a source for the extra cash. Pepsi will also increase its dividends payments and its share buyback program. Let's look a little bit closer of this bad actor of the week. This is shocking to me. I mean, we love doing these bad actor segments. I think it's important that you know, but it also speaks to the hypocrisy that we have heard from Donald Trump and Republicans who said, oh, when we pass this sweeping tax cut, all these individuals, all these corporations are going to start creating all these jobs. There's going to be jobs everywhere. Jobs are going to be falling out the sky like manna from heaven. And then we found out the reality. While some corporations are doing it right and they're adding jobs, other corporations are using their tax cut that they got from Donald Trump to do exactly what we thought they would do. 1, stock buybacks. 2, dividends payments to the ultra wealthy. Now, remember, when you analyze Trump's tax plan, let's remember that the cutting corporate tax rate mostly benefited the wealthiest of the wealthy. The top 1% received 34% of the benefits from this tax plan. So just think about that. 33% of the benefits from this plan goes to the top 1% of Americans. So that means about 100,000, a couple 100,000 people, if that much, are getting 34% of the benefits. That means the rest of us are only getting 66%. So that means 99% of us are getting 66% of the benefits, and the 1%, they're getting a whole chunk of third to themselves. But I digress. Let's get into Pepsi, and there are the bad actors of this week, thus making them our political maniac. So this past Tuesday, they released their earnings report, and they reported slightly better than expected earnings. But Pepsi is disguising this. You've got to follow the story, people. Pepsi's disguising this as the global restructuring plan, using its tax savings to bump up its annual dividends payments by 15%. So there's a 15% increase in dividends payments, while also increasing their stock buyback program by, wait for it, folks, $3 billion. So $3 billion with a B. That's a big number. $3 billion is nothing to sneeze at. So they're going to be buying back stocks at an increase of a third. Almost, they're putting another 33% into buying back stocks. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Pepsi has announced layoffs, but they haven't announced where the layoffs are coming from. So we're going to keep posting this. We're going to follow up on that part of the story. But already we at the Fowler Show have confirmed Pepsi laying off 200 of their workers in Westchester, New York, and more in Philadelphia. Now remember, Pepsi's a large company. Pepsi has stakes in Taco Bell and various other fast food chains, but they're also the owners of Mountain Dew, Gatorade, Tropicana, and Cheetos, just to name a few companies. So this company is making money hand over fist, but meanwhile back at the ranch, they're laying off their workers. This is not what President Trump promised us. He promised he would make America great again for the working class. Well, there's 200 more workers that will be without a job, Mr. President. And that is just the tip of the iceberg, because nobody knows how large or how expansive this global restructuring plan will be. Now, let's talk about the good, I guess it's moderately good, is that Pepsi's bonuses are only going to those workers at PepsiCo who make the food and drink and who drive the delivery truck. So it's going to the workers. So I got a tweet, somebody tweeted me about this, and they said I was being mean and selfish and nasty because corporations have a choice on whether they need to give out a bonus. And because I'm condemning them for giving out bonuses over giving out full-time wage increases, people said that I was being unfair and mean and rude to these corporations. Now let me say this to that particular tweeter. You're wrong and I'm right. because Pepsi could keep these 200 workers with the $3 billion going into their stock buyback program, which only benefits the corporate CEOs, the board of directors, and their top shareholders, mega shareholders, only people that benefit from these programs, right? They could use that money and they could invest it in the American people. They could use that money and stem the layoffs of 200 that we know already, even though there's more layoffs to come. Pepsi could do a lot of things better. They could do a lot of things differently, but they have chosen to benefit the ultra wealthy as we thought they would, who will benefit from Pepsi Cola. They said, we're going to benefit our top shareholders, we're going to benefit our CEO, we're going to give some pennies to our workers. And don't get me wrong, $1,000 is nothing to sneeze at. But you do the math on that, people. Do the math. Because I believe in mathematics, and I'm going to do the math for you. I'm going to do it in front of your face so you can't say Richard Fowler's making up the numbers. So if you receive a $1,000 bonus from Pepsi after working 52 weeks a year, that means you are getting an additional $19.23 a week from Pepsi for one time, though, because they haven't said or announced whether or not they're going to be giving out bonuses next year. And my whole thing is this. I have no problem with companies giving out bonus. Bravo! Thank you for giving out a bonus. Thank you for finally valuing the workers that make your company a success. But why not, instead of giving out bonuses, make a long-term commitment to the workers that make Pepsi a great company? How you make that long-term commitment? The answer is simple. It's a very simple answer. And it goes a little something like this. Give everybody at your firm, or better yet, give the people that work in your factories and your warehouses and drive your Pepsi trucks a raise, a permanent raise. Say, hey, Mr. Truck Driver, we see that you make $10 an hour. How about you start making $12 an hour? Here's why a raise is better than a bonus. Obviously, because the raise is permanent, number one. Number two, the raise means that that particular person can make long-term planning decisions for his family, which has a net benefit on our economy. A one-time $1,000 payment is a one-time injection into our economic output. Whereas in a long-term raise, and you know this person might stay with the company for 4 or 5 years, will benefit our economy over time in smaller doses, which is good. Because think about this for just a minute. You gotta make this real for people. So if he's making $19 extra a week, right? And he was, say if you gave him a $1,000 raise a year, and he's making he or she was making $19 extra a week, they could use that money and say, hey, listen, maybe once a week I'll take my family out to eat to the local restaurant. That's helping a small business. Maybe I'll enroll my kid in karate because we couldn't afford it last year. Helping a small business. Maybe I'll give some extra money to my church, helping a charity which helps the poor and the impoverished. Maybe I'll use that $19 a year, $19 a week, and make some home improvements. Maybe this extra income will give me the ability to buy a home, benefiting our economy in the long term. But these corporations don't care about that. They only care about their shareholders and their top 1%. They see their workers as widgets, workers they can just throw away. They don't value their workers. As they valued their workers, America, instead of putting that $3 billion in the 1%, they would put that $3 billion in the 99% of their workers.